member in the group, I've been mentioning this special offer. But for you to be eligible for this special offer, you have to be here till we are done with this whole entire webinar. Then I will review to you what we have for you. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Sarah, please, you can take the floor.
Thank you, Lama. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'll just share my screen. Okay. So again, thank you, Lama. It's really nice to be here to talk about UX, and especially for people who are interested in transitioning into UX design. Contrary to popular opinion, it's not yet a saturated industry, and it's definitely a tech role that does not require coding. So it's a very good job role for people who are interested in breaking into tech. And there are many experiences that you could have had out of tech that translates into being a good UI UX designer. And that's what me and Ugo are going to talk about today. So before we get into that, I'm going to introduce myself.
I'm sorry, let me cut you short. I'm not sure there's, can you guys see Sarah's screen?
You got?
No, please, I'm coming. Let me be sure that, because there's a way I'm sharing my screen. Okay, can you guys see Sarah's screen?
Yes, we can.
I can see her screen.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Sorry for cutting you short.
No, it's fine. All right, so nice to meet you guys. As Uloma said, I work as a senior product designer at Glovo. We recently just expanded into Nigeria as well, and it's a growing delivery company based in Barcelona. So I've been a designer for 6 years, and I'm coming from a graphic design and information technology background. My primary capabilities are user research. I really like product strategy and design operations. Aside design, I also work as a COO for a design agency for businesses. In my free time, as Uloma mentioned, I love to mentor designers for free on adplist.org, or I'm always sharing some knowledge on LinkedIn. So that would be the best place to catch me. Ugo, do you want to introduce yourself before I continue?
My name is Ugo. As Uloma said, I work with eConsult Health. It's a health tech company in the UK. As for how long I've been a designer, I'm a product designer, about 7+ years, but designer in general, they're about 10 years. I've worked across most industries. I don't know, name it, I've probably done something in it. I started my career out of passion, just, started doing stuff, and coincidentally, I found myself working in an agency in Lagos. So I'll say I'm one of the lucky ones. Outside that, I co-founded a few businesses. One of them, is helps you can. It's a platform where you can buy electricity online, with a growing customer base in Abuja. I've worked in several countries, US, UK, just doing the things that I like to do. So, and more recently, I have finished my master's in interaction design. So yes, that's a very short nugget about who I am.
Thank you, Ugo. Okay, so before we proceed, since we're having a webinar about UI UX, we thought to explain some common UX terms. So I'm going to explain 3, and Ugo will help us explain the remaining 3. So UX design. What is UX design? UX, or user experience, relates to how a user feels whenever they use or interact with a product or service. It captures how easy and enjoyable the product is to use overall. UX design is the process of creating these experiences with a focus on solving a specific problem or pain points for the user. So simply put, UX design, it relates to how can we make sure that the user has the best experience when using a product. Designers who work on the applications that we use, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, part of their job is making sure that as we're going through these experiences, whether we're trying to post a photo or write a tweet, we have the simplest experience and the most enjoyable experience for our goals. And that's what UX design is. Then we speak about product design. You might have heard product designer, UI UX designer. So product design is the process that UI UX designers use to blend user needs with business goals to help brands make successful products. So product design is taking all your experience of user UX design and UI design and making sure that while you're fulfilling the user's goals, you're also making sure that the business objectives is being met. And that is the merge with UI UX design and product design. Then we move on to user interface design, or UI. UI design is the process of designing user interfaces. A user interface is the point of interaction between humans and computers. User interface design takes care of how digital products look, feel, and behave for the end user. Good UI is part of creating a delightful user experience, and UX and UI designers work closely together. So this statement explains to you that you can be a UX designer and you can be a UI designer separately, and you can jointly be a UX UI designer. But UI is basically the interface that we look at, the interface that we see and we can touch. That's what user interface is. Lastly, I'm going to explain user research. The goal of UX design is to solve real user problems. The only way to do this is to start by understanding your target audience and the problems they face. To uncover such insights, UX designers conduct user research. User research takes place early on in the process, and in fact, it's usually the first step a designer will go through, and it's absolutely critical to our work as designers. So as defined, user research is how we find out whether a problem is actually a problem. User research is how we find out solutions to the user's problem so that we know what we need to design for the user. And user research also helps us to make sure that the solutions we're designing are usable and have a good user experience. That's what user research is. Over to you, Ugo.
Right. First off, wireframe. What's a wireframe? As the name depicts, it's sort of the skeleton or the layout of a website or mobile app or whatever you're designing. It's basically a way where you arrange how the different elements of whatever web page that you're doing will be laid out. And it's a very important part of our work because it helps you to like do a little bit of information architecture, know what stays where, and gives you a very quick way to validate your ideas before it goes on to being developed into a proper, design or prototype. Speaking of prototype, basically what this is a make-believe or a simulation of what your final product will be. So what we do is after we create all our designs, an easy way for us to test it or to show you how it's supposed to work is to kind of simulate how it will be at the end of the day. We give it to people, you can touch it, you can click on it, but it's not actually working. So that's why we call it a little bit of a make-believe. And it just helps you to understand the product again properly before it goes on to full development. Usability testing is a very big one. People don't like to talk much about it, but basically what it is a way you test your designs, either before it goes to production or after, to see if whatever you were solving for in your user research phase or whatever other phase that you were actually meets that requirement or solves that problem for you, basically. It can be done at different stages in the product design process, maybe at the research phase, shortly after your design, or even after full development, sometimes even when your product is in the market. You just keep doing things, you keep testing it. So that's a nutshell of what usability testing is. You take your product to the users, get them to perform some tasks, they get those tasks done, and you test if it was easy for them to do, or it was hard, or if whatever you designed meets that requirement. So that's that.
Thank you, Ugo. So now we're going to go into the session and we're going to be focusing on tips and guides for how you can break into UI UX design, especially as a beginner. As Ulama said before, our agenda today is I'm going to be taking part 1 of this webinar, and I will be talking about how to identify your UX career path, how to get the knowledge, how to network, how to optimize your social media for networking and job searching, and the skills that you need to transition into UX. And Ugo is going to be talking about the importance of any previous experience you have, what kind of portfolio you need to have as a beginner, and how to get clients as a beginner in UX. So let's get started. So identifying your UX career path. What we mean by this is that before you go into a UI UX design career and you invest your time learning, your money maybe for a bootcamp or downloading like a lot of resources, you actually need to know what UX career path you'd like to take. It's commonly and uncommonly known that there's a variety of different career roles in UX design, and each of them have their own unique set of responsibilities and focus. For example, these are some of the roles that are under the UX space. So you can either be a UX researcher, where you're primarily focusing on user research, usability testing, and user methodologies. Or you can be a UI UX designer. You're somebody who designs user interfaces, and you're somebody who also plans user experiences. You can be a UX strategist, a service designer, an information architect, design operations, content management, and UX writing. And why it's important for you to look at UX field as a broad field and kind of narrow what area you want to learn in is it helps tailor what you're going to learn towards a specific path. It doesn't mean that later on you cannot start out as a UX researcher or UX writer and become a UI UX designer, because most of the skills in user experience are all transferable. But when you're first starting out as a beginner, it's very important because it helps you identify the key skills you need when you're applying for a job or when you're trying to enter your career. So how can you know what aspect of UX you want to kind of focus on as a beginner? You can actually do this by taking a UX career path quiz. And there's many of them on the internet. This is an example of one. Curiouscore.com, take the quiz. They have a quiz where they've put together a lot of questions that's based on your personality, your past experience, or just things, your interests. They can actually kind of point you in the right direction of what area of UX would be best for you. Another thing you can do is you can go on YouTube, you can go on LinkedIn, you can go on Instagram, and you can listen to different UX experts describe a day in their life. So user researchers describing a day in their life, design operations describing a day in their life, or UI UX designers describing a day in their life. And based on you listening to what they do and the kind of day-to-day they have, you may decide what area you want to deep dive in. So that's how to identify what area of UX your career should be in. Now, you've identified that from all of this, I want to be a UI designer, or I want to be a UI UX designer. How do you get the knowledge? How do you fill your knowledge gap? I typically advise people to fill their knowledge gap by learning from highly practiced people. So if you're a beginner, I highly recommend a boot camp or a product design course to introduce you to the field that you are interested in and to fill any knowledge gaps you have coming in. The reason why we advise you to take a product design course or a boot camp is because some of them have really experienced teachers who put together these courses and these trainings. And these courses that they put together fulfill very important requirements. They have a progressive portfolio case assignment as they are training you to facilitate your practical learning. Some of them give you certifications, which help to boost your profile to recruiters or to companies. And then most importantly, you have a network of other people who are learning just like the way you're learning. So you can network with them, you can relate with them, and you can ask questions and grow amongst yourselves. So that is the advantages of filling your knowledge with a structured course or boot camp. However, product design is more complex than learning how to just use Figma or learning how to use Canva or learning how to use any design software. So we're saying that the best way for you to get the most as a beginner is learning through highly practiced people. Another way you can learn from highly practiced people is by getting an internship under somebody or a design mentor. The reasons why a mentor, an internship, a boot camp, or a product design course is good is also because you get to interact with real people, engineers, clients, product managers, and it helps you to understand how to to build a solid design portfolio. It also helps you learn skills that we'll talk about later on that you need to be a product designer. So the only way into the field really is to put in the work and learn. Design is very much a craft, a craft-based skill. It's something that you learn, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. So practice is everything. But alternatively, you can also self-teach yourself UI UX design with free resources on the web in case you want to be financially conscious, or you just want to test it out before fully committing into like a course or a boot camp. There are lots of people who were self-taught, including myself and other top designers. But my advice would be for anybody who is trying to use a free resource to learn is preview a structured curriculum from a boot camp or from a course in order to kind of arrange and tailor how your self-learning is going to be. So many of these paid boot camps, you can view the curriculum, the syllabus in order of what you're going to learn. And you can kind of take that syllabus and put it in your self-learning map so that you are learning things in order of how a structured course is going to teach you. This is because sometimes in design, there's certain things you need to learn before you learn something else. And when you're self-learning by yourself, you can run into the risk of learning something you don't need for your particular career, or learning something first before learning something that you needed earlier on. So it's very important that you do that. And at the end of this webinar, we actually have some resources that we've put together for you that list out good boot camps and mentoring platforms, as well as a self-learning structure that you can follow if you want to learn design by yourself. So that is the best way to learn. Now we're going to go into networking as a beginner. A huge part of you going into tech or becoming a product designer, of course, is to build a career. And one of the greatest ways to build a career, especially when it comes to design, is networking. And how can you network as a beginner? The best way for you to network as a beginner is showcasing what you can do. Design is a very, UX is a very visual craft as well. So people often evaluate your work via your portfolio or just seeing what you can do. So you sharing what you can do helps you network with other people. And when you network with other people, it gives you more opportunities for an internship, or it gives you more opportunities for a job. So constantly share what you learn. It gives you an edge when you share everything that you learn. You can try to at least publicly share insights that you gain per week, per month, like as you learn. When you start to learn and you have things that you can produce, even like your beginning designs, you can share what you learn on social networking platforms that have a good design network, such as Instagram or LinkedIn. And you can make this sharing more unique by integrating your past experience or your background into your insights. Example, maybe you're coming from a marketing background or accounting or psychology or what it will be. You can always put a touch of where you're coming from into your design and say, okay, I designed this bank app because of my background from accounting. I learned that this and this and this. Or I designed this app to help marketers because when I used to work in the marketing industry, I learned this and this and this. It helps your sharing to not just be like the thousands of other people who are sharing their work online. It makes it more unique to you because everybody has something that is unique to them. And why is it important for you to share? How does it helps you build your personal brand and stand out to recruiters. When there are recruiters or people who were looking to hire interns or somebody for a job, there are millions of applications on their desk, or there are millions of people applying to roles every day. The more you share, the more visibility you get online, and the more visibility you get, the more your profile stands out to people who may be looking to hire you. Another thing with sharing is that it helps you network with like-minded individuals. It helps you network with other designers. It helps you network with developers, product managers, people you're going to work with when you eventually get a job, and they get to see your skills and you get to connect with them. It also helps you get opportunities you would have never known about otherwise. There are many students. there are many students that I've seen that have gotten roles by people actually messaging them and saying, oh, do you want to work under my company as an intern? Or do you want, we have an opening in my company for an entry-level designer or an associate level designer, just because they saw them post their work on. So many times you can get opportunities that you don't actually have to chase.
Sorry, please, I had to do that. Akaba Jennifer, please mute yourself. Hello, Sarah, please, you can continue. Just unmute yourself and continue.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome, no problem. So yes, I was speaking about why it's important for you to share your work and how sharing your work helps you with networking. It helps you to build your personal brand. You stand out to recruiters. They see that you get more visibility. So you look more unique than the thousands of other people who are learning design and are not being visible on networking platforms. It helps you network with like-minded individuals like product managers or engineers or fellow designers. And it helps you get opportunities you wouldn't have known about otherwise. There's many times that people have gotten internships or jobs just because they were posting what they learned about online rather than applying. So sometimes the things you want can chase you rather than you chasing them. And in our resources page, we have some posts about how you can be visible online on LinkedIn. So I definitely would say you should check that out after this webinar. So we're going to talk about optimizing your LinkedIn, which is very important after I just spoke about how to network. Considering the fact that more than 94% of recruiters use LinkedIn to hire employees, LinkedIn is currently one of the hottest career development tools out there. And there are actionable ways that you can make your LinkedIn profile impactful and effective. So here are some tips for optimization. I remember saying in the past 2 slides that design is very much also a visual business. So sometimes people can also evaluate you by your personal brand. And your LinkedIn profile is part of your personal brand. Do you have a good profile picture? Do you have a header image? Are you utilizing the header image maybe to create a banner that says what you do? Do you have a good summary and about section so that people can understand like the skills you have, your background, where you're coming from? Is your contact information there? Are you linking when you're a beginner and you build a portfolio, you should link your portfolio on your LinkedIn so that if a recruiter is looking for somebody to hire and they stumble upon your profile, they can already just click and see your work rather than having to message you and drop off from contacting you. Do you set up job alerts? And do you utilize tools that LinkedIn has? LinkedIn has a resume builder that is also very good in conversion and something that you can also check out as a beginner to optimize your job search. So those are the ways that you can optimize your LinkedIn. Now we're going to talk about skills needed to transition into UX before I hand over to Ugo. And the skills you need to transition into user experience are a combination of technical skills and soft skills. So we like to say technical skills will get you the job, but soft skills will keep you hired. And technical skills are your design principles. Do you understand user interface and user experience principles? Do you know how to design, how to create a user experience? All the terminologies we spoke about when we started the call: user research, usability testing, user interface design, user experience design, UX strategy. Learning all those things are under your technical skills. And design also has graphic principles, so typography, colors, spacing, all things that you will learn if you follow a structured curriculum when you're becoming a designer. And then finally, design softwares. There are a variety of softwares that designers use. We use Figma, we use Miro, we use Adobe XD. Depending on your job and depending on what you used to learn, you most likely will learn a technical design software. And then we have the soft skills: communication, listening, presenting, learning, knowing how to present your work, giving and receiving feedback, understanding business and product requirements, managing client expectations, stakeholder reviews, engineering handoffs, time management, writing documentation, interviewing, collaboration, and knowing how to pitch and sell yourself. So oftentimes we focus on the technical skills and we get them down, but the soft skills are actually things that will help you build a career. When you get a job, your day to day is going to be a combination of 60% of soft skills, 40% technical skills. In the interview process, it's going to be a combination of 70% soft skills, 30% technical skills. And so it's very important whilst you're learning and getting a product design course to teach you technical skills, that you find a way to identify the soft skills that you have, the ones you don't have, and you read up on it. You find maybe a course or a video or something to help you learn the soft skills that you're going to need. So that will be the end of part 1. I'll be taking questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So please, Akaba Jennifer, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, Chi, you can ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Good afternoon or good evening, rather, everyone. Thanks for the program. It's really informative. Okay, my question is, I picked some skills. I know how to use Figma. I just got to know how to use Figma, and I use Prototype as well. I learned how to use Prototype. So my question is, after getting these skills, is it still necessary for someone to go to a boot camp? Or I know how to use it like real good. So is it still necessary to go to a boot camp? That's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay. I think that question is different for everybody. So like I said when I was talking about the reason why people should go to boot camps or use a structured course is because there's many foundational elements that oftentimes we need to learn before we even learn how to use Figma or prototyping skills, such as some things as simple as drawing user flows or graphic design principles like spacing, color, typography, or storytelling. So these courses that exist nowadays have taken that into account to make sure that most times in their syllabus, they teach you a lot before they even teach you Figma or how to prototype. So my advice for somebody who has already maybe learned Figma and learned prototyping is just, again, review the good product design courses that exist. Go through their syllabus. And if you already know the latter parts, but you realize that the beginning parts, you don't have knowledge of them, get knowledge of them, because that's the only way you become a full-rounded designer. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, you can mute yourself, Chidozie. Ozioma Okoye, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Thank you, Sarah, for the presentation. It really opened my eyes to UI and UX design. I wanted to ask, right from time, whenever I hear about UI, UX design, I usually don't pick interest because I feel that it's actually for like artists, people that can draw, people that can, artists that can do, those kind of artistic, those people that have artistic designs. But from your presentation now, you made it look as if anybody can do UI UX. So now, is it that now does that mean that I want to just find out, like those of us that don't have the skill of drawing, is this really our field?
Thank you for your question. And yes, definitely it's your field, because UI UX design, you learn these skills, and unless maybe you want to create visual elements yourself, like icons or illustrations, there's not a lot of creative drawing going on. It's mostly technical drawing, which you will be taught how to do. Technical drawing of how to draw wireframes, technical drawing of how to draw user flows, but nothing that needs a particularly creative abstract drawing. So yes, this skill is for anyone who is willing to put in the time to learn the skills and the processes and apply them. So no, you don't need to learn how to draw. Know how to draw beforehand.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If you don't want to speak out, you can drop your question in the comment section.
Okay, so I see a question in the chat and it says, please, for a beginner's understanding, what is a boot camp? So a boot camp is typically a specialized training to learn a topic. And typically they try to put it in a short amount of time, say 3 months to 6 months. And they structure their syllabus or course curriculum in such a way that you learn the basic fundamentals of everything you need to do regarding a topic. So in this case, product design boot camps are put together for the purpose of people who have no knowledge about design to enter, and in the next 3 months to 6 months, they come out with at least a above average understanding of how to operate in the industry, how to create designs, how to become a UI UX designer. And it's typically put in a duration of 3 months to 6 months, maybe 9 months, with a very structured curriculum. So it's like a boot camp, an intense training on a topic. And if we have other questions, Hugo, you can share the screen. You can head part 2.
Two other people have questions. Chie Dozie Uchendo and Choma Wangpo. Please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, yeah, it's me again. I wanted to ask, because most times we just get carried away with, okay, yeah, there are things to learn and we pick that knowledge and all of that. But then I wanted to ask, I don't know, you guys are the professionals in this, so what is the opportunities in that field? Is it still something that the competition there is not really like so much right now? I want to find out, is this something that someone can venture into and still create room for his or herself? Thank you.
Yes, definitely. But I definitely say you would have to do that strategically, which is why a lot of the things that we were talking about today, we're not just saying, go and learn how to design and go and learn how to use Figma. In order to be competitive in 2023, getting a job in product design and in any tech role, really, you have to learn how to be visible. So if you can be visible, you will get a role. Many times there are people who have learned skills but don't have visibility, and so they apply and they get no responses or they don't see any opportunities. But the moment we can help them be more visible by sharing their work or just understanding the strategy of searching for a job, you will definitely get. Product design roles are open in Nigeria, they're open all over the world, and now people are hiring from anywhere. So definitely it's a field that if you come and you do your best work and you also learn how to be visible with your work, you will definitely get a role.
All right, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Okay, I see a question in the chat. It says, I work in the customer care unit of a telecoms company. How do I apply this knowledge to my field? Do I have to be a tech person before acquiring these skills? Ebony, no, you do not have to be a tech person to venture into UI UX design. What you would need to do, as I advised before in your case, is follow a structured course. Follow a structured course. There's free courses that are structured, there's paid courses that are structured. And as we spoke about, there are boot camps where you can learn practically what you need to do. And in terms of applying your previous knowledge, there's always a skill you have that you can apply into UI UX design. UX design, user experience particularly, is a place where we consider the user before we design anything, before we design a solution. And because you work in the customer care unit, you have experiences in knowing how to talk to people, how to maybe calm down people when they're upset, or how to understand when maybe a person is saying something, but they actually mean another thing. These are all skills that from your customer care, you can translate into learning how to design for the user, how to relate with the user, how to put yourself in their shoes. Something you must have learned that can also work in UX design. So my advice to you would be really take the skills you learned of customer support and translate it into understanding the user when you start learning.
Please, Choma Wanko has been raising her hand.
Okay.
Choma, can you ask your question?
She typed it
Okay, I
out.
think she just typed it. You said you were self-taught.
Okay.
How were you able to do that? Most of us are not computer savvy. How does one navigate? Okay, that's a very good question. So I was self-taught, and because I was self-taught, is the reason why I keep saying learn in a structured way, because I didn't learn in a structured way. I learned in a very scattered way. And so there were often times where I learned things and then I had to go back and learn something that I should have learned before the thing I learned. But how I was able to do it is similar to what Uloma is doing right now. There was a webinar that went on in my school, and I joined and I learned about what graphic design and UI design was at the time. I found a mentor who I spoke to, who sent me some resources on what to learn. And then I just started to learn by myself. And again, I made the mistake of learning this, learning that, not learning structured until I finally found a way to structure myself. But yeah, so I just downloaded free resources online, and I was just learning from them and practicing them, because design is also a career that you have to practice, and the more you practice, the better you get. So get free resources online, learn it, practice it. But like I said, practice it and learn in a structured way.
Yeah, I saw a question here. Somebody said, can you do this with a mobile phone? Yeah, Eniola.
Eniola, is it possible to learn UX design with a mobile phone? To learn UX design with a mobile phone, yes, because you can definitely join a bootcamp or a course where you're just learning theory, right? You're learning about what these terminologies mean, how to apply them, learning all the basics, user personas, user testing. Like in theory, you can read and understand the theory of UX design with your mobile phone. But in order to actually do the practical part of it, which is very important, you always need a laptop device, because the design softwares are desktop softwares like Figma, Adobe XD. So you can start to learn with a mobile phone, but to continue your learning, you will need a device.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Ugo, I'm going to hand over to you now. You can share your screen.
Right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. So give me one moment and I will be ready to go. Right. Okay. So I'm going to speak about the importance of your previous experience in the UI UX field. As rightly said by, or one of the questions I asked is, oh, she was a customer service person. How does that knowledge come into here? Well, Sarah very well answered the question. By default, it means you are almost as good a user researcher because you listen to customer complaints every day in your telecoms thing that you do. I'm sure people come and tell you something's not working well, or this I tried this and it did not work, and that's your cue. That's okay. You take that, you understand why it doesn't work, and then you know. So that's to sort of preempt my slide. Um, Whatever you did, whatever you're doing, school, whether you went to school or not, whether you're a first degree learner or not, whatever you know will be a useful skill in the UI UX, industry. Give you an instance, if you're an engineer, that means you're already used to having a systematic approach to design. That means okay, normally you're supposed to do this before this and that before that. And that's what engineering will teach you. If you bring that kind of knowledge into UI UX, it will also serve you well. Say you already do event planning, just something as simple as event planning. Well, I don't know, maybe it might not be as simple as that. It means you're already used to talking to customers, you're already used to speaking to people, making things happen for them, which is also a very, very important skill to have when you're doing your user research sessions and usability studies. Very, very important skills to have. Say you're an architect. That means you're already used to problem solving and problem solving with a tight space or, within a certain limitation with space. That's also something very, very important because sometimes you're designing on your mobile phone, the mobile is small. So you have to fit everything you want to do within that space. So again, even if you did not go to school, so whether you're street smart, whatever it is, you know how to talk to people, you know how to have basic interactions. These are skills that are very, very necessary in the field. So basically, whatever your previous experience is, whatever background you've come from, it is extremely important and relevant, right? Design is a very multidisciplinary practice. Like there's no one thing that leads you to being a designer, different things, different trades, they have tiny skills that, make it very, very important, right? And for all of us that have made the switch, I am a trained, personally, I'm a trained economist and a teacher. Unlike, the bigger fish in this room say that had all her IT training. No, me when I went to school, I was just a trained economist, and I became a designer. And some of the skills that I have, I designed a few fintech apps and the rest back in the day, and those skills became very, very handy. The things it helped me understand things, and because I'm an economist, I know how to quickly draw up a dashboard, just because I know how to relay data. So something as simple as that, you don't need to be important, but yeah, it's very, very important. You may not see it at the beginning, but I promise you it's a very important skill to have. Right. So what to do at this point? You've decided you want to learn, you've come from, I don't know, let's say, those courses we did the list lab for school. Maybe you've done, let's say, Yoruba administration, whatever it is that you studied in school. What do you do at this point? Well, my first advice would be you need to create a timeline for learning. I would recommend you do at least practice about an hour daily. I mean, I know that everybody has different things that you're doing. It might not be very easy for people to do it, but we're in a field where your ability to learn, like no matter how long you've stayed in this field, and it's true for all IT fields. I don't know of any other field, but no matter how long you've stayed in the industry, it does not mean you will still need to learn and put a good amount of time into learning. Because new softwares are coming out, new things are coming out, people are doing that stuff every day. So you cannot stop and not learn. So I would recommend 1 hour per day. As I said, whether a beginner or not, the learning never really stops. So that you don't get to a point where you're either learning too many things at the same time, or you've piled up how much you need to learn, and then suddenly you're behind. Just put 1 hour. You might not be working on your laptop, but just listening to something, listening to other designers talk, join design podcasts, get a mentor, whatever it is that you're doing, find a way to get some design knowledge every day, right? practice. Oh, Sarah made mention of that. So I don't know what happened to the image here. Practice. I'm also a musician, and if there's anything I learned also from my musician days is the amount of time we put into practice. It's an insane amount of time, and if you bring that knowledge again into IT, it's you practice a lot. Like even if you know how to do something, you can watch it on TV and be like, oh yeah, it should be easier. I should be no. Until you sit down on your laptop and you actually do it, you don't know how to do it. Practice, practice, and practice till you can't practice again. Then you practice some more. Get a portfolio. Sarah has kind of pointed out how important it is for you to be out there to share your work, blah blah blah. But that's very, very important. Like, no, in this day and age, nobody's going to hire you because you said you can design. I'm not going to hire you if because you said you studied design. I don't care that you studied design. I want to see what you've done or what you can do. The only way you can show me that is through a portfolio. So get a portfolio. It might be, oh, in some beginner people's case, I've seen people that just take a design challenge and every day they post what they do online. It might be Instagram, wherever. You just have somewhere you post your stuff. Popular sites that people use like Dribble, some people put your stuff on Behance, some people put your stuff on, wherever. Just create a portfolio and make sure you're putting your work out there. It'll also help you get noticed. I know people that, more recently, at least for me and the guy just from Twitter. And the guy put, oh, this is what I do. I clicked on his profile. This was like 2 years ago. And that went. About last month, a friend of mine reached out to me, please, I need to do something, something, something. Like that. I don't have the time to do it, but I've seen somebody that did something, the person's work is good. And I called this guy up, and the person delivered the work in less than 2 days. Never seen him. I don't know his name beyond his Twitter handle. Just seeing what he's done, I was able to recommend, okay, give this guy work, let him do it for you, and several people like that. So put your work out there. You don't know who's looking, the rest they say is history. Okay. So what kind of portfolio should you have? Me personally, I would say build your portfolio on sites where you don't need to learn how to code to put your work out. So for me in particular, I speak about myself. It was a big deal to get my portfolio ready for a very long time. Because I couldn't code, and you have to sometimes pay people to code your portfolio for you and all of that. But now this has changed, and there are several tools that you can use, and can get your work out there without stress at all. So very, very important. Some of them are Webflow, Framer, Readymark, Adobe. There are plenty of them really. As I said before, you can use existing platforms like Behance, Dribble, or Notion. Yet some people put their portfolio on Notion. Hey, you may not know what Notion is, but you can Google it. Put your portfolio on there. Basically, is explain what the project is. Put the fancy pictures you've created, and make it look very nice. A PDF portfolio. A lot of us do not like this one, but it's become a thing now where recruiters do not want to go through the stress of clicking one link to go and look at what you've done. So they just want it offline in their mailbox easily. That's what a PDF portfolio can do for you. People can just tell you, what have you done? Quickly send me a document of a few of your work. Imagine if you send me a document, I'm sending you a link. So create your PDF portfolio, also very, very important. In my last 2 roles, the PDF portfolio saved me personally. Some people have different experiences, but I know PDF portfolios have saved me, and true for some of my friends in the industry also. So where do you get your portfolio inspiration from? Don't tell anybody that we told you. When us designers say we are getting inspiration, it's just industry standard word for we are stealing people's great design ideas and making it look like it's our own. Yeah, we all steal. At least we all get inspiration. That's what we say. So you can go on portfolio.com. You see amazing people, like people that have been designing since forever, putting out their work on there. You can say awards.com. That's a site where people, the best designers in the world do their work and put it on there, and the people vote for the best website design in the world, at least that day, sometimes that month. So you can imagine the kind of quality of work you find on the crazy good designers. And of course, you can just steal from your mentors, like Sarah. You can steal her portfolio design. It's fine. If you structured it well, you've looked at it, you like it, steal some ideas from her or join her mentorship, whatever, and ask her. She'll give you good pointers on how to make your designs or your portfolios pop. Don't tell her that I told you, Sha. Yeah, it's just there. Right. How do you get projects on your portfolio? Easy. I've seen plenty of this where people go and try to redesign GT app or try to redesign something. It's a very interesting way to do it because on one hand, the people that have done it that way have a reason for doing it that way. So you might not have all the context, but it's fine. Go in there, put your own spin on it. I've seen the way GT app is working. I don't like it. I feel like they can do something, or I feel like I have a different idea that I can push that might make this experience better. Go ahead, design it, bring it out. Let's see it. It's I know people that have gotten good jobs based on that. Like, okay, this person is great and they've just redesigned our app better than our current designers. Let's hear what he has to say. Some people get jobs like that. Some people, just look at some creative fictitious whatever app in your mind, solve a real life problem. A good problem is, let's say for people that stay in Lagos, downfall is a big deal. You don't like the stress of downfall, so maybe you want to create an app that would tell you when downfall will be in your bus stop that will take you to work. Whatever creative ideas you come up with, just make sure you're trying to solve a problem or one problem or the other. And now that you're a designer, you have to start thinking like a designer, okay? If you put some thoughts into this, you start to see design flaws in your everyday things. You go out, you read a signboard, you be like, why did that person do that thing like that? You need to start training your eyes and training your mind to think like a designer. And if you do that, you will see problems in almost everything. Like you just turn around and there's a problem that is waiting for you to be solved. So there's problems everywhere. The portfolio should have about 3 projects. I would say do not put more than 6 projects in your portfolio because Yoruba have a saying that too much nine God no they like. When you start overdoing it, I get tired or your recruiter or whoever it is. So pick 6 of your best projects. If you think you're going to finish doing your portfolio, you're never going to finish doing your portfolio. You're going to keep doing it till forever. I have not finished my portfolio. Sarah has not finished her portfolio. Even if she has finished it, she'll still come back tomorrow and tell you that there's this other thing she see that is nice that she wants to ask, she wants to touch one thing. You will never finish your portfolio. So get it done. Put your 6 of your best work on there. Push it out. You can look at now. A tip that I like to follow is choose your industries well, right? There's some trending industries now. So you might want to look at delivery, blockchain, or Web3. You can think of health. In short, now personally, I have a health app that I was trying to push in Nigeria before I left Nigeria, and that's part of what got me my current job now. Just something I've done in the past. So if you target some certain industries, it's easier for people to say, "Oh, this guy has an idea of what we do in our industry," and let's try him out. Food, and all of that. And let's just keep it simple. Like look for the industries that you think they have to pay plenty of money. Those ones like like fintech. You've been hearing all this fintech app. These people have plenty of money. Can't do your portfolio in fintech. Yeah, you can't do your portfolio. We all know it's money that you want to make that is bringing into this field. I don't like people coming in, but let's not lie. You have heard of this big salary. You want to come and collect salary. Better be doing, your portfolio or your case studies in things that you can that can relate to those industries, right? Tell anybody I told you again. This is information you will not hear anywhere else. So I'm just telling you, between me and you, right? How to get clients as a beginner in ESG. Don't let anybody lie and give you. Even me as an analyst, I'm still looking for how to get more clients because that's not how to get clients. If myself now to get clients, it's a good idea to teach you now. But yeah, there's let's call it industry standard ways that you can use to get your first few clients. Right. Get projects on your portfolio. Oh, I've said it before. I'm saying it again. Get projects on your portfolio. Okay, well, you do not know how important this thing is. This is very, very important. And I'm trying to make this as fun so that you're not able to see, remove the fun. Yeah, I like to play. Remove the fun parts from my whatever and just take it. It's very, very important. You need to get the project in, you need to finish it up and get it in and post it. I'm here. Okay, let's take. I'm a quiet designer. I like to call myself a quiet designer. Sarah more recently is more community focused facing. So Sarah would, sharing tips on the day. Me, I'm very quiet. It's plenty big that your host today used to drag me to this webinar. I usually don't talk, nobody knows me anywhere. But the truth of the matter is I've suffered for it. So get your work out there and post it. For me, a quiet person, I'm telling you, don't be as quiet as I am. Post your work. Very, very important. It will get you stuff. Talk to family and friends. Let everybody know what you do. Show them stuff. And we try to do this now. This is what the new thing I'm learning. What do you think? Let people around you know what you do. Very, very important. Volunteer. Some people, if you go on Twitter, there's some people that be like, oh, I need somebody to help me do this thing. Or you see somebody, this volunteer bit, that's how I got in the industry. I'll give you a quick story. I was in school, they designed a magazine, and I didn't like the way it was designed. Now, at this point, I didn't even have a laptop, but I just didn't like I felt like I could do better. So I went up to them and told them, like, okay, you're doing the second edition. I think I can help you. And they're like, yeah, but we don't have budget to pay. Like, you don't have to pay me. I'll just do it because I'm a member of this house and I want you to, have better design. I did that thing for free, but it blew up in the sense that every other church that wanted to do either a flyer or a magazine or whatever came to me. And I'm telling you, it's way back as 2012-ish. I was already charging like 50K per magazine design. Before that semester, I gathered enough money to buy a laptop. And that's how I bought my first laptop. From design, just by volunteering, I was living like Yahoo boys in school, like because my gen was always on. So everybody thought I was doing Yahoo, but they did not know. They did not know that the boy is here doing his design, and all of this came from volunteering. So do not overlook that. Pitch yourself, send emails. You've seen somebody their design is bad, you think you can do a better job. Sometimes reach out to them on places like LinkedIn. Tell them like, oh, I'm a new blah blah blah. Can I come and intern with you? Can I come and help you fix this problem? Whatever. Just ask them. You never can tell. What can come out of that. Shoot your shots. It's not only when you want to post together they will tell you to shoot shots. No, or you want to fall for 1 5 man online. No, shoot your shot in your career too. Very, very important. Do you understand? It's not only when you see fine girl 5 man. Shoot your shot in your career. Very, very important. Right, you should do that. But then let's bring things in a little more serious. We talk about this very, very interesting salaries in tech, what you can do, how you can make money, blah, blah, blah. But those things are not going to come easy. They are not going to come easy. You need to be patient. You need to enjoy the journey. You need to put in the work. It's a lot of work. I don't know how to emphasize this a lot. Learning anything is a lot of work. Coming into this field is extra. There were times in my life I used to sleep 3-4 hours every day, and everybody that I know. I think now we've done this for a while. I can say I sleep 6 hours. I think back in the day, say if I remember clearly, you used to work till like 2 a.m. By 6 a.m. we are up again doing one thing or the other. It's crazy. It's an insane amount of work. So you would have to put in the work. And I would also say, but in your transition, you need to have what is holding you down. So I know a lot of people enter the field, and again, we enter because you're looking for money, you're trying to get a job and all of that. But if you don't get the job now, will teach you, because it's not a sprint. It's not, oh, I've learned 1 or 2 in 3 months, I'm making money. No, that's not it. So better get it in the proof for your table, because if not, hungry will kill you. Jonathan, it's a long road, so get something. Even if that job is paying you 30K, even if it's paid whatever it's paid, hold it first while you're learning what you're learning, because again, it's not a get rich scheme. It's not you start doing this thing in 7 months or in 3 months. Somebody would, you might be able to do that, but it's not very common. So know what you're getting into and prepare well for it. That this is a very long worker, but if you keep at it, I promise you, you would be better for it, right? Okay. So that's the end of my part, and I'm open to questions. I'll try not to take too much time on the questions because I would have to run very soon. So shoot your questions and I will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
So please ask your questions. Thank you so much, Ugo. Thank you very much. In fact, I've really learned a lot from this. As you are talking, I'm like, I have to check my LinkedIn profile and my GitHub profile to be sure that they are really up to date so that recruiters can, you know, recruiters can hunt for me. Thank you so much. This is quite insightful and I've learned a lot today.